Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is Belinda. Thank you,
Hello,
everybody. It's the two
everybody.
of us. We're back for another round of Inside Veterans Affairs. A lot of headlines actually this week. A lot of stuff going on. I'm going to go over the stuff in the intergovernmental affairs, and then we're going to let Belinda go over a couple of interesting subjects that have come up, and then after we get done with headlines and some of the little things, I want to talk a little bit about the marijuana, the legalized medical marijuana through the veteran system. So that's the plan of the day. Anything you want to say on the intro there, Miss Belinda? Hi, CLC.
Uh, no, I think we're all ready to go, and I'm definitely interested to see what it says about the medical marijuana.
It's all gone to pot. Okay, well, then I'll go ahead and start this shindig. Hey, Duke, good to see you. I got DM in here. Pete just said that he will be here if his power comes back on after he reboots everything. But if it doesn't, then he's here in spirit. And then I got let's see, Janine, I Dream of Lilac Time is here. It's an interesting name. And of course, we got DM. That's the power mod. And I think I got everybody. Mentioned Rex, mentioned Duke. Yep. All right. So, yeah, real quick before I get on to the headlines, I just wanted to make a quick note. I noticed that somebody roamed in here to put a thumbs down, and I think we all know it was pretty stupid because the show hadn't even started yet. So they thumbed down the silhouette of soldiers. So are they against the military, against veterans, against disabled, or whatever? But anyway, it's just something to make you go, It's, bottom line is there are morons that get paid to roam the YouTube, and this is all they do is sit around and push thumbs down on stuff.
They're thumb down. They're thumbs down on their life.
Yeah, thumb
That's
down
how they
warriors.
feel about everything. Yeah.
$15 an hour, I get you a good job. Thumb down.
Can't even get no onions on my sandwich.
That's right. You want a salad? Salad. You take a salad. Okay. There's been a few articles that have come up this week in the Intergovernmental Affairs. One of them here says VA pilots first collaborative healthcare and innovation center in Palo Alto, California. You have to say that with that accent because it's no longer United States, but it's my opinion. So it's Palo Alto, California. So
See?
yeah, see. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs recently established the National Center for Collaborative Healthcare and Innovation. Then another one with these NCCHI within the Val Palo Alto Healthcare System in California as part of the department's strategy to advance veteran healthcare services with cutting edge technology. Why
Cutting
not?
edge.
More technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting that even California has got anything to do with veteran services because they hate the military anyway. They don't like the military. They don't like the country. I mean, they would rather secede and be their own communist dictatorship, but that's their problem, not mine. So anyway, the next one here says VA's National Veterans Summer Sports Clinic marks 12th consecutive year. Now, this is interesting. This is actually finding an event the day it starts. I didn't get it before it started, but it started today. It goes through the 20th. And it's the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs in collaboration with Wounded Warrior Project, Veterans Canteen Service, and dozens of other partners will host more than 130 veterans from across the United States as the 12th annual National Veterans Summer Sports Clinic from September 15th to the 20th in San Diego, California begins. So again, California. But interesting that I was able to get one actually posted on here in Intergovernmental Affairs that, I mean, it's technically not before it happened, but today is the beginning of it.
It's not over either.
Right, it ends on the 20th. So It's in San Diego, so for me that would be a bit of a walk. But some people might get over there to get a chance to see it. And let's see. Then the next one here, VA Secretary Wilkie urges Speaker Pelosi to support key legislation on veteran suicide prevention. Of course she won't. VA Secretary Robert Wilkie this week encouraged House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to pass bipartisan legislation to help VA build partnerships with community groups who can offer direct help to veterans who are at risk for harming themselves. So, House supporting any citizen of this country or any American or citizens of the corporation. But anyway, I'm not going to get started on that. But anyway, so I don't hold a whole lot of faith to her supporting anything with veterans because she's always voting down programs any chance she gets. She does not like the military.
No.
All right, I got two more here, and then I'll throw it to Belinda. And it says, speaking of, let me say, hey, history. She made it. 12B George is here. Good to see you. And Janine, I dream of lilac team. Peloton is gambling. I'm not sure what that is. It is Pelosi is a Gambino. Yes, she is. She is directly related to the Gambino family. Yes, and her nephew is now the governor of California. Yes, yep. Bloodlines. There are 13 bloodlines, and believe me, they all intersect. But then that's another video also. VA achieves historic goal, delivering more than 90,000 appeals decisions to veterans in fiscal year 2019. Finally, they're stepping it up, even though they're not saying most of those decisions were no. But you may appeal.
Yeah, so but you can appeal your other no. Yeah.
Yeah, we gave them a decision, so we're breaking records. On September 10th, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs VA exceeded its goal 3 weeks ahead of schedule to deliver 90,050 appeals decisions regarding disability benefits and services to veterans in fiscal year 2019, approximately 9,000 more decisions than the previous year. That's an awful lot of no's.
They don't get a little perk for doing 9,000 more. There shouldn't have been that big of a backlog anyway.
Yeah, well, wow. There's another little trick too. Oh wow, Fred's here. No punches or kicks today, brother. Good God, I don't know how to act. I'm all giddy and stuff. It's weird. I'm gonna live. But anyway, when you are going through your appeals process, I found this out through my personal experience. Dangerous Freedom, good to see you. Also, Sandra Ann McGibbons here. Good to see you too. If you call, in my case, St. Petersburg, and for example, your file is sitting on a desk and maybe it's right here, then you call and they pull that file out. They open it, they tell you, nope, still pending, and they throw it on the top of the pile. The problem is they pull from the bottom when they're doing their process. So anytime you call to check on your appeal, the little screw job is you get bumped even further back. So it's always little games. And I don't know this to be absolute right now. I don't know if it's going on today. Maybe it's one of the changes, but it was definitely one of the little slick things they did in my appeals process. So I used to check on mine about once a year, and then I found out they were putting mine back on top of the stack and basically starting over. Joshua Collins here. Good to see you. Northern Tiger, thanks for coming. All right, Belinda, let's hear your news about the VA real quick.
Well, I have some veteran benefits for 2019 that I'm not sure if everybody knows about. California has extended handgun purchasing ban for those under 21 to long guns. Military
Oh, great.
members may be excluded from this ban. Why wouldn't they? If you're old enough at 18 to go fight for your country, you're old enough to have a long gun, handgun, mortar, tank, anything.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that word may. That's a legalese term, and it usually means no. It's like when you ask your mother, can I have a second scoop of ice cream?" And she says, "Well, we'll see." It means, "No, you are not touching that ice cream. Get away from me, kid. You bother me."
Right, right. And in
So
Georgia,
may means the same thing.
well, yeah, uh, all, that's their nice way of saying, no, we don't like the military. We only want your money. Get out of our state.
Right.
Military members in Georgia who become delinquent on license fees, occupational or sales taxes can have the 10% penalty waived if they are unable to pay due to military service in a combat zone. The waiver applies only to combat zone active duty personnel, but still, that's a good
That's
thing.
Yeah, that can help. Be one
Uh,
less thing you got on your mind.
in Illinois, I like this one a lot. In Illinois, veterans and active duty military members who are believed to have a physical or mental health problem may now be considered high risk if they go missing. This gives law enforcement the ability to put out the search to look for them, because they are an adult sooner. So that's a nice
That's
thing.
good.
And also in
Um,
the state, healthcare facilities must provide a homeless veteran at no cost to their medical records, give them a copy of their medical records. And it's a homeless veteran, their agent, a doctor they might be seeing. They're not to charge, how they try to charge us, 3 cents a page or whatever it is. They
right.
can't charge disabled
Right.
veterans. And that's
Well, that's a good
nice.
thing.
Yeah. In New Hampshire, the property tax for service-connected disability rose from the the property tax credit for service-connected disability rose from $2,000 to $4,000. So that's really nice too.
Wow.
That could be a big saving for a lot of people.
Yeah, in Florida, we used to be 100% property exempt, property tax exempt.
Really?
But then I guess they realized they were losing too much money, so now they're charging us the first responders and fire tax, which is usually the other half of the property tax that you pay out here. Every time you pay property tax, you also pay a fee to the first responders. So I have a little 5-acre parcel, and it's almost $500 a year for first responders tax. And
Huh.
I don't know about you guys, but that's an incredible amount of money for a what really turns out to be more of an insurance policy than anything. Because if you haven't had any service calls of any kind, and all of a sudden you're paying $500 a year, then that's a stinger anyway.
I bet. I bet. That sounds terrible. I know we don't have, that's not how it's broken down on my tax assessment, but we do get $15,000 a year tax credit towards our property tax for disabled veterans. So,
That's
um,
good, good.
and
Turkey Leg
also,
TV here, Linda Horner. Just real quick, I want to just say, hey, Kay, and I want to make sure that you folks realize I'm acknowledging you and thank you for being here. Dangerous Freedom. Um, it's important to me to have all my visitors hanging out with me because I realize you could be doing anything in the world on Sunday night and you guys choose to hang out with us. It's very cool. So I'm waving my hand. Go ahead, Belinda. I'm sorry so
and
rudely interrupted me.
no, please, whatever. And you know that I'm sure, I think we've gone over this before, that 100% disabled veterans and their spouse can fly Space A. I think we've gone over that already.
I haven't looked into that yet, but I could sure think of a
It,
few places I wouldn't mind going.
yeah, it's just the same like you used to do. You can call and
Yeah,
get the manifest and see all the different places they're going, put your name on the list, show up ahead of time, and hopefully get to go someplace. And there's a new
yep.
TRICARE retiree slash, I don't understand with all this other stuff. So I guess retirees and other people have TRICARE, and it's the dental plan. And they've replaced the dental plan, and now everybody qualifies for Fed VIP dental program, and it's also
Oh
for
wow.
members of active duty personnel. So, I mean, that's a nice thing.
Um, Jenny, I dream of lilac time. Just put up here. I think this is. I'm pretty sure it's in response to the filing of the first responder tax. It says it's a way to get them to file taxes for credits because disability isn't taxable income and not required to file unless you want to give data for tax credits. So yeah, I mean, I don't have to file unless I make an income, and one thing the VA likes to threaten the people that are at 100% unemployable because there are two ratings. You can get 100% disability, period, or you can get 100% with 100% unemployable. And when they do that little trick to you, that's not because they're being nice and happy to help you. It's because they've done the last screw you they could think of. So when you have the unemployability rating, it means that if you go out and you get a job of any kind, it could be 2 hours a week, then the threat is there that they can take 100% of your disability away, not just bring you back to your true rating. So it's a very serious threat, especially. Um, I mean, I've got so much crap wrong with me that I'm there's nothing that I could do for any long period of time. Not even sitting damn near it. But the problem used to be though when I got my disability, I was still able to function to some extent, and a couple of 3 hours a day or whatever. But I couldn't do anything because if I did, then I risk my rating my natural rating is at 90%. So even though I'm only 10% away from the real 100% rating, they would take the whole thing away. So it wouldn't that could be devastating to somebody who has no other options than the disability check. Anyway, that's my thing on that. So
Okay.
please continue.
Okay. Well, hold on. My,
Welcome to Walmart. Get your shit and get out.
is that somebody's name or is that a comment?
That's dangerous freedom.
Oh,
It's true.
my favorite
Who is?
nemesis. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just dying with anticipation.
My
I'm just
favorite
wondering if I'm
nemesis.
even close on that list.
No, no, not today.
Oh, oh, good.
Uh,
Well, there's
it's
still time.
oh yeah, just in the next hour, I'm sure you'll pop right on up there. No,
Awesome.
it's this Veterans Employees Union, the AFGE.
Right.
Uh,
Video
they
number
are
one.
they are my number one nemesis. Well,
Oh yeah.
uh, they, Trump is moving forward with the Mission Act, and he's really trying to get where we can go see. And now we can see. I mean, I have very little problem going to see a civilian doctor, but they want that stopped because then that means all these subpar people lose their jobs. So on their
Right.
website today, it says it's time for Congress to act in the best interest of our nation's veterans instead of in the interest of the Koch brothers shadow organization. Our
Yeah. Koch
veterans
brothers and
deserve,
the Soros.
well, I don't know who these Koch brothers are. Our veterans
The
deserve the highest quality of care. They deserved a fully staffed and resourced VA. And this is aimed at us going out into town. So whoever these Koch brothers are, I guess, are trying to make sure we do get out in town to see good doctors with, qualified staff. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my take
The
on it.
Koch
I don't
brothers
know.
are the Koch
Go ahead.
brothers are known for their philanthropists, but they're also multiple. They own multiple conglomerates, huge corporations. Originally, they were neither one of the two Koch brothers wanted anything to do with their father's empire. And then when he was apparently dying, he told him, "You can either do this, or I'm giving every dime of the billions that I own to charity." So they decided reluctantly to get involved. But since they've been involved, they've been switch hitters. Sometimes they're jumping on the bandwagon for the liberals and sometimes for the conservatives. But the most nerve wracking is the partnership that they've just recently formed with George Soros. Um, Also, one of the Koch brothers just died a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So now it's just the Koch brother. But anyway, I don't trust them too far. I mean, they're just like I say, switch hitters.
Well,
Anyway,
all I
as you
know
were.
is that anybody that supports veterans getting the best care, not this union. I understand. I'm torn with unions. When you read this union's page and their activists and all the things that they do, they're self-serving. They're to do as
Yeah,
little work as possible for the most bang, for them to get the biggest paycheck possible. And
right.
I, I just
And I
wish it
don't
would be just.
disagree. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I do not like the union, but I'm very reluctant on the Koch brothers. I'm glad that they're pushing this healthcare. That's a good deal. It may have something to do with personal family involvement. Maybe their father was a veteran or something, so maybe they have a specific uh, passion for this subject. But I'm just I'm just not sure about them. But as long as they're pushing this, yeah, they'll be my best friend.
Well, they also just recently came out with people were had to go to emergency rooms. They submitted their bill to the VA, and then the VA wouldn't pay their bill. Well, of course, that was wrong, and now people are able to refile and get the money that they were owed for those emergency room bills because that's part of it. You can't always go to a VA. Sometimes you have to go to an emergency room and they
Yeah, well, you
were,
know that happened to me, right?
well, you can resubmit your bill to the VA.
Well, I've already I ended up went to collections, so they called me. I got my bill from the emergency room. Then a few days later, I got my bill. I got my notice from the VA that says that you're not responsible for this bill. It's to be paid in full, and I
Oh,
have that with the signature and everything. But
mm-hmm.
then they sent the bill to collections. So the first time they called me from collections to get the bill, I said, "Boy, did you just have one handed to you?" I said, "The hospital gets paid for that bill. So you guys just bought a debt that's going to be paid for. And they the reason they did that, I guess, is because the VA wasn't paying them fast enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting that bill, but then I disputed it in collections, and now basically it's over. But it was a neat little trick to all of a sudden get a letter that your bill is paid, and then you get a phone call saying, "We need you to pay this bill." So
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it was taken care of, and but I guess a lot of people turned in their bills and they weren't. Because I know way back in the day, uh, last century, I think, uh, I had my ex-husband took out 120 some odd magazine subscriptions in my name. So I was getting bills
oh my
from all
God.
over the place. Yeah. So, and I mean, anyway, it was a nightmare. But some of the stuff I just didn't catch. And so I had this thing on my credit report, and I was able to show them the letter that talked about what he did so they could get it off of my credit because it was just a
Right.
nightmare. And the types of magazines that man decided, oh, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, well, CLC, no, I'm sorry, California Critic just said, DVP, tell the debt collectors you paid your bill and you go pound sand. Well, I actually did one better on that, because here's the trick of a debt collector. They don't just have somebody call them up and say, I need you guys to collect this debt. They actually have to buy the debt. And the trick is they buy it at sometimes as low as 10 cents on the dollar. So when they go to file the claim and get that money, whatever they receive back on the debt, they keep. But the agency that turned it over to collections actually sells it to them. So when they called me and I told them, boy, did you get screwed? They uh, they did seem a little upset about that because they'll never see it. So
Yeah.
it's more fun to let them know that they messed up than it is to tell them to just piss off. Although that's fun too in its own respect.
That just struck me as very funny, Alex. I don't know.
It's the face.
I guess I'm sorry. I guess I need to start using that term a little.
And speaking of marijuana use for veterans,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
no, it's just Exhibit A is what I was talking about.
I know. I know. Oh, you want me to go on
Well,
with
one of
what?
the side effects of marijuana is the giggles. So, but
Oh
please
yeah.
continue.
Um,
No, go ahead. I like your subject matter.
the Have you heard about the House? The Veterans Affair deployed 7 staffers The House Committee on Veteran Affairs deployed 7 staffers to 5 veterans hospitals across the country. The goal to monitor the rollout of the new law set to accelerate the outsourcing of hundreds of thousands of veterans to the private sector providers. So they put these congressional people, in these different VAs. The VA wants to kick them out, all because if you go back to the union is trying to say that this is, you remember what they said, that it would impact veterans care. That was like a threat,
Right.
that when they were in the high, it would
Yeah,
impact
because they
veterans
won't
care.
put any effort into it.
That's
Yeah.
they don't put, yeah, exactly. And so now they're kicking out the people used to monitor the program. And what's getting lost in all the translation is our best healthcare. There are so many good stories out there about the VA, but the horrible stories, what is that? One aw shit takes away 20 attaboys or something like that.
Well, as
They're
many
aw
as a
shit.
hundred.
Well, theirs are grievous. I mean, look at the man that was covered in ants. Who?
Yeah.
My daughter is a nurse. You make rounds. You see the patient often, and other people see the patient often all through the day. How in the world can that man be covered in ants on the walls, and nobody know about it?
Yeah.
That's our
Well,
good
I
VA
don't have the
care.
most.
Send me out to a regular hospital.
Right.
Sorry.
I don't have the most egregious, but when I had my back surgery, my the doctor that I was assigned to was attending. So he wasn't even the signature on the surgery. He was attending a resident. The resident was actually doing the surgery. Well, the problem is the resident can't file for pain management. He can't signature a slip for pain management. And my doctor decided to go play golf. So when I came out of my surgery, the I had no pain management whatsoever. They wouldn't even give me a Tylenol. So I went between 18 and 20 hours after surgery with no pain meds, nothing. So when I woke up, I was in 100% of the full pain that comes with a full back reconstruction surgery with not even so much as a Tylenol.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm-mm.
that is the kind of thing that happens a lot. And that's part of the reason I'm trying to build this channel, and especially for this show right here, because veterans need to know what's going on. They need to know what's available, and they need to be able to share some of their horror stories, because nothing ever gets fixed if everybody just keeps their mouth shut about it. So that's my goal. The other shows during the week are fun, but this one is the most important to me.
Well, it is important. And somebody asked if this guy was in a hospital or a home, and he was at the Community Living Center. I just moved in it in the
So
Atlanta
he's at a
VA Medical
long-term
Center.
care.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
within the Atlanta VA Medical Center. Still, if anyone's been there, someone confined to the bed is not just checked on once a day. You good? We're out. There's
Yeah.
constant rotation. There's constant people checking on you for hygiene, food, therapies. You just don't leave a person confined to the bed dying of cancer alone in their room all day.
Well, you
It's
just open
just,
the door a little bit and you go, "All right, you're good. All right." And then they close the door and carry on.
yeah, well, now some of them have where you go into the room, you have to log in. Uh, there's a there's like a little pad
Right.
on the wall when you go in. You have to log in. They time how long you're in there. You have to put in what you've done in there. It's like a medical record on the wall. So you don't get
Right.
those instances of people going, "Yep, I checked on Mr. Smith. He's great. Next." You have to go in. Everything is timed, and that's sad that
Yeah.
it has to be that way. But the bad ones made it. We all pay the price for the bad people.
Right. Philip Turner just jumped in here. How you doing? Good to see you. So you got some more of those luscious details?
Luscious. That's all the details I have on that one. Hold on.
Okay. Well, I got one more
I
intergovernmental affairs to bring up that I forgot. It's
sure.
in the last headline here. VA distributed video tablets delivering telehealth to veterans. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs was recently recognized in studies by two independent peer-reviewed journals, JAMIA Open and the Physics Psychiatric Service, for efforts to deliver trusted, easy access to high quality online healthcare services to veterans with complex healthcare needs or residing in remote areas. So that's a pretty big deal. That's getting telehealth is what that program is. And if you live well outside of the range of a VA facility, now you have access via online or telehealth. You can network it through landline, or you can do it through ether space with the internet. So it gives these people a chance to sit and do a face to face with their doctor remotely, as opposed to if you can't make your VA appointment, then you go without. So that's a big deal. That one could help out a lot.
Absolutely. Like I said before, I was in Tennessee when we had the funeral and all that, and some of those places are so. I've never been so far out in my life, and they need those things. The people, there's no economy, there's no money, there's nothing.
Yeah, right. You live so far out, they got to pipe in oxygen.
Yeah, yeah.
You live
Food,
so far back in the
electricity.
live
They
so
ride
far back in the
horses.
woods. They got to bring sunshine in by the truckload.
Yeah, yeah. They ride horses to places.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else you got there? Because what are we at? 6:33. Definitely want to get to
Well, go on
the
with what you got.
drugs. Well, if you got something, I want to hear it too.
No, go ahead.
No, fine. Um, all right. I'm just scanning real quick on the military.com. Make sure there's nothing absolutely pressing on here. Um, okay. Well, they let me bring this up. This is last week. As a matter of fact, it was last week. We talked about the civilian support program for psychiatric care for the VA, with a specific aim at helping veterans' families who are dealing with a veteran that's got PTSD or whatever. Um, Last week, they said, "Oh, we're going to end that program." Well, just imagine this. This week, mental health counseling support services for DoD civilians resumes. Huh. So the bottom line is exposure. And people, when they do something stupid, people have to bitch about it, just like they were going to stopped the program in Virginia for the homeless veterans, enough people went, "Oh hell no!" And they decided, "Hey, we were just kidding. We're going to keep it going."
Right?
So
I love it.
yeah, I mean, this is what you got to do. When they say something stupid, people need to stomp them like a bucket full of grapes on its way to the wine vat, and that's how things get corrected.
Yep.
But that's a good deal. So they're going to continue that program to support families of psychiatric treated veterans. So good thing there. But here's one more of the military.com, and then we're going to get into some weed. I mean, we're going to talk about some weed. Smoke them if you got them. Well, anyway, this one is disgusting. It says IG report: U.S. sent bomb sniffing dogs to Jordan. Then they died from poor care. They're showing a picture of a drug sniffing dog that was sent by the U.S. to them, and all he is a skeleton. And the guy's got his leash pulled so tight it looks like he's about to pop his eyes out. And here's the bottom line on this crap: we need to quit sending stuff to other countries. Our military equipment, our specially trained dogs. Islam in Islam, dogs are dirty. They don't like dogs, so they don't have a reason to take care of them. So when we are sending a highly trained professional dog to do a job, they're going to be handled by Muslim people, and they don't like dogs. So
They
I
have no
wanted to
respect
bring
for
that one up.
anything.
No, they don't. But I mean, in the Quran, it says dogs are dirty, just like pigs. So why would anybody in their halfway right mind think that it's a good idea for the United States to send dogs to Jordan?
Yeah, what group decided that that was important to do? I
Well,
I
it's a
just
group
don't
that's
know.
uneducated. The problem is people don't know about Islam. And if you take just a little bit of time and you study Islam, then you realize when I lived in Turkey, I had my little dog with me. As a matter of fact, this one right here, he went to Turkey and he's been home. He came home with us, but there were people that tried to be nasty with him when I was walking him, and if it wasn't for the person that was with me, then there would have been a lot of injuries. But they do not like them. They're considered filthy animals, and they are against the Quran. And just that's what I'll say about Jordan. I think that was really stupid. It
Oh,
was the most ignorant thing they could have done, is sending dogs to an Islamic country to try to do anything and expect the dogs to be cared for. So
I agree. I agree.
that's what I got on that. So anyway, those are the stories, the headlines for the week. And now with an extra zoom in here, I can actually see there's letters on the page. Now let's get into some dope. Um, let's see. Introduction into Senate 9/5/2018 Veterans Medical Marijuana Safe Harbor Act. This bill allows one, a veteran to use, possess, and transport medical marijuana in accordance with applicable state law. Number two, a Department of Veterans Affairs VA physician to discuss with the veteran the use of medical marijuana as a treatment if the physician is in a state that authorizes such treatment. Or three, a VA physician to recommend complete forms for or register veterans for participation in state-approved medical marijuana treatment programs. The VA shall report to Congress regarding one, the effects of medical marijuana on veterans in pain, and two, the relationship between state-approved medical marijuana treatment programs, program access, and opioid abuse reduction. So that is summary of S3409 on the 115th Congress 2017-2018. So that was when that went through. Now, the transferring according to applicable state law was one of the first hiccups, because if you are traveling through a state that did not allow for possession of medical marijuana, and you got pulled over in that state, even though you were going to another state that did, then it created problems. People were having issues with that. So, that's a start anyway. That's the statute. Again, it's not laws; they're statutes, articles, and amendments. But another video. Belinda, did you by chance look up anything in the realm of this kind of thing? The
Well,
drugs?
all I have is the Department of Veterans Affairs stance on it.
Okay,
That's
please, pray tell.
uh, what some of the things a veteran needs to know about marijuana and the VA. A veteran will not be denied benefits because they use marijuana. Veterans will be encouraged to discuss it with their VA providers. VA healthcare
One little
provider.
th- one,
Mhm,
just one thing.
mhm.
One benefit they are denied is the benefit to possess a firearm. That's still an issue.
And if it doesn't
Apparently, they're
work,
introducing legislation. If it doesn't work,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say they are introducing legislation in Florida to get that little glitch out of their system, so that veterans don't risk having their guns taken away if they go on the medical marijuana program.
Well, good, because what my doctor told me at the VA, I take pain medicine. And he told me that if I went on my own, he couldn't prescribe it, do anything. I would pop positive on a P test, and then the pain medicine that I received would be gone forever. So if it didn't work, I would be stuck then with nothing. So I had to make a decision on what
Yeah,
I
that
wanted to do, because there was no, he said there was no going back for me. If I did that, there was no going back uh, to the opioids if I pop positive with medical marijuana. I mean, that's
yeah.
just what I was told.
So yeah, but I mean that's the thing. There are glitches in this system. Of course, you can use it. We can't help you anymore, but you can use it.
Yeah.
So I know Matt Gates is trying to open up the research division, because still illegal to do research on marijuana stateside. All the research that they get is done in countries outside of the U.S. So he's trying to create the program to allow international.
Pardon me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Uh, he wants the studies to be brought stateside, so that's what he's working on. But yeah, the problem is that yes, you can get it, but we're going to take your guns away. You're never going to get medication again. You're going to be lucky if we even offer you an opportunity to see a doctor anymore. But yes, you can
Well,
have the pot.
yeah, I don't. I think you would still be able to see a doctor. Well, I know you would, but what he told me is that if it didn't work, there was no going back to me getting the medicine that does work for what I have.
Yeah,
And so, how do you make that decision? I mean, they don't even give you the option. So, but they also
yeah,
say the VA healthcare providers will record marijuana use in the VA's medical record in order to have the information available in treatment planning, as well with all clinical information. This is part of the confidential medical record and protected under patient privacy and confidentiality laws and regulations. And we all know when we go into the VA, we read the real big sign that says, you can't get your whole medical record because part of it doesn't belong to you. So I
yeah.
don't know what they're
I've
talking
been through
about
that.
there. The VA doctors may not recommend medical marijuana. VA clinicians can only prescribe drugs that have been approved by the Drug and Food Administration for medical use. At present, products containing THC, CBD, and other cannabis oils are not approved. VA
Yeah.
clinicians cannot fill out the paperwork to get into the state approved programs. The VA will not pay for it, but the
Yeah.
scientists may conduct.
Linda Horner
Mhm.
just said so if that doesn't work, you cannot get what did work. That's exactly what she's
Right,
saying.
that's
Yes.
exactly it. Yeah, if I choose to go that route and it didn't work, and I need to go back on what I was prescribed, I can't, or I can't at the VA. I would have to go out in town to, I don't even know where, to get that done. But the VA scientist may conduct research on marijuana benefits and risks and potential for abuse under regulatory approval. Uh, the use or possession of marijuana is prohibited at all VA medical centers, locations, and grounds. When you're on VA grounds, it's a federal law that is enforced and not the state laws. And so that's the other
Right.
problem
Because
that
it's
they're
federal
having.
property.
Federal trumps
Yeah.
state. So how do you fix that?
Yep.
Veterans who are VA employees are subject to drug testing under the terms of their employment, and THC is a problem because they're
Well, here's a
federal
little tidbit.
employees.
Right. But just for those who are interested, there are also some pain suspension pleasantries involved with peyote. Um, it it also works as a pain suppressant. So the trick to the peyote is they don't test for it in piss, but you have to find a Indian medicine man that's willing to give you access to peyote. But just a tidbit. Anyway, go ahead.
Uh, and that's all I have about it. I mean, that's a VA article from May this year. So I don't know, something's happened between May and what is this, September? So, I don't
Oh,
know,
you
but that's
can
their
bet
most
there
recent.
is.
Well, but that's their most recent publication on their website. So I don't know.
Okay.
And it's going
Well,
to be
that's
hard to say
good
Florida
information.
veterans can do one thing, and Alabama veterans can do another, and that could
Yeah, they
be.
need to get something across the board. But again, like you say, it's criminal to do anything with narcotics of any kind, even class one, on a federal facility, because
Yeah.
that is federal property, federal land. They are under the jurisdiction of the federal government. So, yeah, there's catch 22s in here that people have to be aware of.
And as soon
Um,
as I talked about it, they have a mental health provider at the clinic that I go to that I guess is there for if anybody walks in and says they have a problem, someone they can see pretty quickly. I had to go see that dude
uh,
because I had talked about it.
really?
Yeah. And that's again where they go, well, how many weapons do you have? Or how many guns do you have? And stuff like that. Do you need some gun
Well,
locks? Yeah.
yeah, that's a trick question. The answer is none. I mean,
Yeah.
it's none of their business. They don't. The government says, "Oh, well, we want to know how many you have." It's none of their business. There's nothing within the Constitution that says that they have to know how many firearms you have, and it's what kinds. That's none of their business either. All these little tricks are done because they want to come and take them. So, the answer is I don't have any. And that how many gun locks do you need? That's a trick because they will give them to you. They will let
Oh,
you
yeah.
walk out the door with gun
You
locks,
take the whole
but
damn
then
box if you want.
that's right. But then they're going to be knocking on your door in a few days. We understand that you took such and such gun locks. We're going to need those weapons, please. So yeah, little tricks, and you have to be aware of them, and you have to be prepared to answer questions with a straight face and a high standing middle finger because it's none of their business.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so yeah. So anyway, what I found here, veterans face hurdles to marijuana access. Well, no shit. Um, the VA does not allow its doctors to prescribe medical marijuana in states where it is legal. They don't allow them. I wonder if they missed a word. The VA does not allow its doctors to prescribe medical marijuana in states where it is legal. Well, that would be a hiccup. I mean, technically, they can't. They can maybe they can write you out a script, but like you said, they can't give it to you. They can't house it in the VA facility, so
Well,
you
they're
have to go
federal
outside to get it.
employees. They're federal
Right?
employees. They can't say things like that. They can't do those things.
Yeah, you got
A
dealers
federal
in there
employee
going, "Hey,
can't
man, I
break
got some
federal
ditch
law.
weed." Right.
Dude, come see me out in the parking
This
lot.
stuff here's the bomb. Come and look at how sticky this stuff is, man. But what was your name again? Doctor Messed Up. I can't
Yeah.
even remember. Let's see. When Lieutenant Colonel Doug Distasco retired from the Air Force in 2017, he left with a laundry list of service-related medical diagnoses. Who'd have thunk? Chronic pain, a traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder, and a slate of opioids, muscle relaxers, and other drugs prescribed to ease his symptoms. The drug cocktail, he says, left him in a medicated stupor. Yes, just drug them until they're down, and then they'll leave you alone. His wife was worried. He felt like he was dead. You really do. And when they dope you up with all these different things in their little cocktails they produce of medication, you literally just sit and vegetate and don't do anything. Um, I used to be on a whole slew of pain meds, and I just realized that the pain doesn't go away with pain meds. So I quit taking them, and occasionally when it just gets to levels where I get nosebleeds and stuff like that from my blood pressure going up from pain management or pain issues, I have to take muscle relaxers. And I found that actually, if you take muscle relaxers, part of the pain is when you're in pain, your muscles all lock up because your body doesn't want to move because it hurts. So your muscles are fully tense, and you take the muscle relaxers, and it eases that too. It causes the muscles to contract, and then it cuts down on some of the pain. Not all of it, but it helps. Let's see here. It says across the country, those with chronic pain and mental health diagnoses, as well as a litany of other conditions, are turning to medical marijuana as a viable treatment option. More than 3 dozen states have legalized medical cannabis, and new marijuana legislation is being considered by state lawmakers every week. Now, the problem is that this is all state, and when we're breaking into the veteran system through medical marijuana, we have the biggest hurdle of all is the federal jurisdiction. So the states can do anything they want, but the veterans still have their legs cut out from under them because of the federal laws that they have to abide by.
Right. We have to be aware
Um,
of what pertains to us and not slip
exactly.
up and lose, a bit of health care that you might have been receiving just because your state said yes. Your private doctor might say yes, but if you're being treated by the VA with narcotics, they go, well, no.
Well, History B says, Alex, you are the bomb. Apparently, I blow. So that's very nice of you, anyway. But thank you. Yeah, I just trying to do my small part in this big world. See if we can get some changes done. But you're the bomb, History B. You're the number one history teacher. I guarantee it. Let's see. But for U.S. military veterans accessing health care through the Department of Veterans Affairs health system, obtaining and using medical marijuana is fraught with
Fraught.
roadblocks. Fraught. It's not to be confused with froth. That's on a beer, but fraught. Even in states that have legalized medical and recreational use. Under the current VA policy, VA doctors cannot prescribe or recommend medical marijuana to patients, including in states where medical marijuana is legal, because of the drug status as a Class 1 narcotic, as a Schedule 1 controlled substance, as they say it. Um, Thank you. The system has only just in the last 2 years altered its regulations to allow doctors to discuss marijuana use with patients when veterans request information on or when it has clinical relevance. Though veterans groups say veterans still frequently encounter doctors who are dismissive and judgmental when the topic is raised. Absolutely. I have one of those myself. Um, I've actually asked him about CBD See, that's another trick. You can actually lose uh, your 100% status under the 100% Unemployability Act. The you can actually lose that extra status if you piss hot. So that's another thing I learned not too long ago. So I have to be very careful what I take of anything because anything that would be considered a controlled substance, class one, if I take it and my pee is hot when they test it, then I can have real serious problems.
Really?
Yep.
I wasn't. So, because what they say
Yeah.
is it can affect your pay or it says on their site, veterans will not be denied benefits. It will not change their VA compensation, but yours would change. That's terrible.
Yes. Oh yeah. There's everything they say. Oh yeah, this is great. This is going to work perfectly, but you're going to lose everything you got. But other than that, it's going to be great. You're going to enjoy this. This will work well for you. So
Hmm.
little things that people just need to know about. Let's see. The department has also lamented the lack of research into the drug, but has not conducted major research on marijuana's potential benefits for veterans battling common service related ailments. Now, this is what Representative Matt Gaetz is working on. Because of the federal funding that these research facilities get, they are restricted. They cannot do research on class one controlled substances because they receive federal funds. So we can't do any domestic research of marijuana and its benefits because of that limitation again. So until something happens at the federal level, they can do anything they want in the states, but the main restrictions are going to still be in place. People are still not going to have the option. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. It's got to come from federal to finally finish this thing off.
But you remember back
But
in the 50s and 60s, I think it went into like 70, 71, 72, where active duty members were being given LSD and all kinds of things
right,
because they were trying to come up with some type of uh, chemical warfare that they could just spritz out of planes and make everybody crazy.
exactly.
But you
Well,
can't
once when
use
they're
something simple like
controlling it,
cannabis.
right, when they are doing the experiment, everything's legal because the government has mandated the research.
Yeah, and
But
it
it
does say
again, that
that.
goes into
Yeah.
black budgets. Yeah, but black budgets, you'll never be able to do a FOIA request for black budget money, and that's the kind of stuff it goes into. The spooks get most of that black budget. The Pentagon gets a decent piece of it, and NASA gets a piece of it. But in all three of those agencies, you will not be able to find out where that money goes from the black budget. And little programs like LSD and mind manipulation, stuff like that, started in 1961, and that is the kind of stuff that you'll never know about. But again, it's military application. They don't follow federal laws, so they have variances and what do they call that when you can do something beyond the scope? There's a word for it, and I can't think of it. Belinda, you're
I
supposed to
don't.
be there for these
I
kind of
don't know
things.
how you're. I don't know how you're applying it. Beyond. I don't know how you.
You just don't know how I think. Leave it alone. Anyway, so
I heard Lisa. I can hear
I,
Lisa.
yeah, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night screaming this word as I sit up in my sleep, but it's something to the effect of not having to follow the laws and regulations, but they have exemptions. Yet I can't believe I couldn't think of exemption. Damn it!
They're
I'm
exempt.
not that dumb.
Okay.
Yes, they have exemptions of the law when they're under military contract. Thank you. Jeez. Anyway, so back to it. What do we got? Wow, are we there already? Oh man, we are already at our hour. I have a couple of articles left. Well, let me just I'll run this headline real quick, and then we'll sign off. And if we have to, we'll pick up some more of this next Sunday, because there's a lot of information about the medical marijuana program. So maybe I'll hit another 15 minutes of it or so next week on top of another subject. The Department of Veterans Affairs opposes the legislation proposal that would expand research on medical marijuana at the VA and give veterans access to the drug in states where it is legal. So now they're getting resistance from the Department of Veterans Affairs itself. And Belinda, you nailed it. It's that it's their union. They are not in it to help the veterans. They don't give a damn.
I agree.
It says during a hearing, during a hearing Tuesday on, during a hearing Tuesday on 8 VA health-related bills under consideration by Congress, VA officials told House lawmakers that as long as marijuana is legal under federal law, the department cannot support legislation that promotes its role at the VA. It's not legal under federal law.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
mean
about to
that.
say.
Don't blame me. I'm just reading it.
Okay.
Let's see. The House Veterans Affairs Committee can make strong proposals for us to move forward with recommendations of filling out forms and such, but in the end, we need to go back to the Drug Enforcement Agency and the Justice Department for their opinion, said Larry Moll, chief consultant for population health at the VA. So I guess that last paragraph was just not written well. I guess what they're saying is we can't go forward with anything through the VA until there's releases at the federal level. That's what I'm getting from that. So,
well, that makes sense. I mean, because that's what we fall under. I mean, that right. Just makes sense. Unless they're going to come up where they can divide federal and state laws, but then you're going to have, like with the hurricane. Say, well, do we have to go? It's 8:02.
Yeah, finish your statement, Lynn. We'll say goodbye. I don't like
with
to
the
go
hurricane. Long. Sometimes you have to go to a different state, so you need different. You need your medicine in this state. So what if one state supports it, the other state doesn't? You have to take your analysis there. You're hot, and then they tell you no, and your whole career's, your whole VA experience is ruined because of that.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Let's see. CLC says that, and Belinda, you've pulled off another awesome live stream with excellent articles and discussions. Thank you for all your hard work for our veterans. You are quite welcome. All right. So with that,
nice.
I'd love to keep talking to you all night, but I know there's other people that want to go live somewhere on the planet, and I got to give them their slots. I try to keep mine at an hour, but a couple of minutes over, I don't think I'll get hit too hard unless Fred's there. But I want to say thank you very much to my mods. You guys are awesome. You do a great job keeping the chat in line and throwing up our links for success. And to all the visitors that came to hang out with us, thank you very much. Miss Belinda, as always, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you hanging out with me on Sundays. And
it's a pleasure.
I'll let you, anything you want to say to the folks on the way out?
Thank y'all for coming every Sunday. And I just hope that Alex is able to grow the show into exactly what he wants it to be. And don't forget, it's Suicide Awareness Month, and contact your buddies out there if you think they need help. Stay in touch with them.
Thank you for keep bringing that up. I know it's Suicide Awareness Month, and I should be mentioning that as well, but that's why you're here, and I'm glad to have you. And just so you know, I own the channel, we own the show, so you got to give yourself a little more credit, because the show wouldn't be the same without you here. That's just the way it is. So anyway, folks, with that, I will say good night, God bless, and stay in the fight.